Hello and welcome to Not Just Business. My name is Angela Anzarello with Impact Business Solutions, and I want to welcome you if this is your first time here. I am thrilled for today's show, particularly because of my very special guest and the topic. Let me tell you, this is a very organic topic and something that is very relevant to many people out there. So I hope you listen. I hope you enjoy it. We'd love for you to subscribe, like, share, do all those fun things. We're growing our channel and we would love for you to be a part of it. So so give us some feedback. I'm sure Kelly and I would love it. So welcome to the studio, Kelly Jan.
Thank you. I don't know if I was your first subscriber, but I'd like to think that I was one of the first, because as soon as I saw it, the first thing I said was, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch every episode. And then the very next thing was, when can I be a guest?
There you go. Actually, this is all about you. We're like, we should have guests on the show. That's a great idea. Well, you guys are similar, right? You and Andy have been in business together. So so we're going to get to all that. But if people don't know, this is one of my very besties. When James and I first started our business back in 2009, the first thing that I know it's been 16 years. It's crazy. One of the things that, we were part of a franchise at the time, but they said, go join your local chamber. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I tell people today, and they're like, really? And you're like the chamber hall. I'm like, yeah, I know. But Kelly honestly was one of the first women that I met at Chamber 101 over there in Reston. So the topic is not just business, Kelly, as you guys know, and we are all about not just business, but we also are very business oriented. But we're also besties. So why don't you just quickly, how did we meet? Because it's kind of a funny story.
I think at the time I might have been the chair of the membership committee.
Yes.
And so Chamber 101, of course, was something that I would have attended regularly.
Yeah.
And at the time I was in a position of sales with a large company that sold to small businesses. And so the chamber was a natural fit. And when you and James showed up and you started talking about, oh, we like to play golf, we like to travel, we have dogs. I can't remember. I think that was all I needed to hear, because
beelined after the meeting.
As soon as it was over,
hello, my name's Kelly Jan, and I'm like,
have you joined yet? Would you like to chair lead chair?
And then, no joke, I don't remember if James and I came together or not, but she's like, oh, by the way, after this, I have a thing to go to. And it was this woman from Jockey. So we were doing business initially, and they were trying on clothing. We're in her living room. I'm like getting naked, and we're like trying on clothing. So we became fast friends, but clearly we were there to do business. You were doing business for many years, networking at the chamber. So
absolutely. But one of the things that's always been really cool about our relationship is, we talk about our husbands, we talk about our dogs, we talk about planning trips. We've gone on trips together, but we talk about a lot of business things as well, because as women in business, as spouses in business, there are definitely some things that come up that don't when you work with strangers. Where there are touchier subjects.
Absolutely.
Where when you're working with your spouse or a friend, you're worried more about, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or how does this translate to the dinner table versus when I get to leave the office. 100%. And those are things that don't exist when you're not working with your spouse.
No one's trained on that. We're like, naturally, we're going to work well together. We're married, but no, it's very, very different. So,
absolutely.
So if there's an entrepreneur, in the house, it's certainly Kelly Jan. She has done a number of things. She's very entrepreneurial, business focused, smart, passionate, always passionate about what you do. You've definitely been in different businesses. And we forgot the tissues. No, we're not crying. It's going to be a good episode.
I can't promise that.
When Kelly came here this weekend, she kind of opened up that she had something that she wanted to talk about, business related. And she kind of knew that, James and I couldn't give that perspective. But like I said, we'll talk about that later. So entrepreneurial, you've done all kinds of things, from working from corporate to having a side hustle. So how did you kind of originally get started in owning your own business? And then even with Andy, as in some cases, right?
Yeah, I think that I am a server by nature. I have a very yellow personality. I'm a giver. I'm an Enneagram 2. I mean, so any of you that are into all of those things, the color personalities and all of that. And that sometimes can be good for business, but sometimes not, because sometimes I give past
Right. Of course.
what makes financial sense. I give past where it's benefiting me from a business perspective.
Mhm.
And so I think being in business with my husband, who is not a yellow or a two, he is definitely more of a perfectionist and a numbers guy. He's very green,
That
you
must
know,
be me.
yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
And so it's like, if you don't have that balance, that's hard. But at the same time, it makes it hard. I mean, you can't have two people that are just giving everything away. You know, that doesn't
100%.
quite work.
Right.
But you also can't have people that are number crunchers and never want to do anything other than crunch the numbers. Like, you got to have a seller, you got to have somebody that's got the
Right.
creative brain. And, but I knew, particularly in this business that I'm transitioning in right now,
Sure.
is that I wanted to help people. And it was something that had helped me. And I just was very determined that I was going to bring this service offering to my family, my life, my community, because I had referred so many people that I thought I can make a business out of this because I want to help people. And I think that's really where it started. I mean, I've been in sales my whole life. My dad has been in sales his whole life. I mean, I
Me
grew
as
up.
well. Same thing. Yep.
And so I watched him sell, sell, sell. And he would say, listen, if you want to make some money,
Yeah.
you could be
Absolutely.
better figure out how to sell something. And so,
Well,
listen,
you can depend upon yourself, and we know we're go-getters, right? We're achievers, and we can control our destiny, right? So as my dad always say, work for performance, pay for performance, I should say. So I totally get that. So when you started the business originally, because I know you're such a businesswoman, but you're also passionate. So I thought I thought it was a good business model for you. So that's why I thought you originally got into this business we're going to talk about, but it was really more your passion.
yeah, it really was a passion project.
Yeah.
And one of the things that my husband and I have talked about, James and I talked about it, was, well, if you were infinitely wealthy,
Sure.
if you didn't need to do it for money, if you could just throw a bunch of money at something, that's very different than, no, this actually does need to be a money generator in addition to helping people. Like, I'm not just running a soup kitchen here, if
Correct.
you will.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. We have to, feed ourselves and feed the dogs at some point. So you're passionate about the business. You want to help serve, but at what point does it not become, beneficial for
Yeah.
you, your family? It becomes detrimental. We talked about like headspace, not only financially, but headspace. Like, at what point do you know?
Like,
Do you think
something's got to
there's a point?
give.
Yeah, something's got to give, because
I think, yeah.
you've come around. It's been a couple years of fighting it, right? Probably losing money, maybe fighting at home or whatever. Those are the things that happen. Those are probably some signs. Like, for you, what was it for you?
I think that when you, maybe something that you didn't notice as a red flag, and it starts to creep in, it's just a pink flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, and you don't really want to, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I just need to tweak things a little bit. And then it'll be a moneymaker, because you are so passionate about it. And you're like, oh, I can just outwork this problem. Well, then you end up spending more. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you get to the point where you're intentionally ignoring the red flags, like, that is a sign that it is time. But sometimes that makes it even harder, right?
Yeah.
You're starting to expend more and more energy and time, and you're not getting the return back. And just feeling good about it is enough in the beginning, because you're trying to figure it out. But then when you're laying awake at night, feeling like you're failing, and maybe I can still outwork this problem, and it's tough.
I think so. As a Kelly's friend, never really thought you had an ego. I think we all like to be, oh, you look so pretty. I love your hair. All those we love that, generally speaking. But I didn't ever think you, because you're a risk taker, feared failure. But, how do you think, was that a contributor in this
For
particular
sure,
case?
because I think that you do, as a business owner, and even just as in sales. So I've worked selling for other companies where you've got a quota, and you have performance metrics, and I want to succeed, and I want to do well, and I want to be promoted, and I want to, these things. I want to go on the President's Club trip. I want to get the fancy prize or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to tell people I'll cut you for a keychain. It's not even, it's the competitiveness in me. So I can be a caring, loving person, but
Right.
I want to win and I want to succeed, right? And I want to be seen as someone who is successful, right? And we talked about this, that when I was just in Amsterdam, I got to meet John
Oh my
Maxwell, like
gosh.
totally random.
You're
I mean,
big
I was so
fan.
starstruck. I mean, I cried for 10. I'm a crier. Okay. Let's not, it
Part of
happens,
the
right?
yellows and the twos. I don't know. I gotta look
Yes.
this up.
You're going to
Yeah.
have to look it up.
Yeah.
But he talks about failing forward, and it sounds good until you're the one that fails, if that makes sense. And like you said, there is some ego in there. There is some pride to have to say, I did not succeed at this. There's some embarrassment.
Sure.
There's some shame that's
Mm-hmm.
associated with that, especially if you hold yourself in a position of con- not constantly, but consistently
Mm-hmm.
succeeding. And when you're the business owner and you're the face,
Yep.
it's one thing when you have a job and you're like, this wasn't working so well. I'm going to leave and go take another job. Nobody really looks at you and says, oh, you failed. No, you
Right.
just
You
changed
moved
your
on. Yep.
mind,
Yep.
right? You
You changed
moved
your mind. Right.
on.
Right. Right.
But when you hold the keys, right,
Yeah.
to say, oh, I'm just moving on, it's different than that. And I think part of this, and James helped to uncover this, um, was the money that I used to fund
Mm-hmm.
the start of this
Mm-hmm.
business
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was money that my grandmother gave me when she passed in her inheritance. And it was like, this is the money that I will use to help these people, right? And so that also was part of it. Like, no, I've got to make this work for her. And you said to me, Kelly, she's proud of you.
Yeah.
You did help hundreds of people. You might not have made hundreds of thousands of dollars, but there were a lot of people that have been impacted in a very, very special way that would never have if you hadn't done it. And yeah,
Be
maybe that
proud of
money is
yourself. Yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
but you can still be proud of yourself. And I needed to hear that
It's so
because,
hard. So
shoo,
hard. We beat ourselves up. And I think for us, when we started our business, that was all that we had, right? It was not, we had enough of a runway when we started. So that was good for you. This business was another business.
mhm,
So you had multiple things. So that you weren't forced to like make a decision. It's like, oh, wow, it's not making money. Therefore, I'm not taking out of my, whatever 401k. So it could fail. We could still pour money into it. Right. But at some point you had to decide
yeah,
because now it's taking up headspace again.
mhm,
Now it's taking up this in your mind. One of you is a little bit more passionate than the other about what are we doing with this? We have to
mhm.
make a decision.
Well, and it was it became an argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
My husband would say, we're literally sitting in the kitchen making the kids lunch for school, and he'd say, "Hey, we need to talk about this." And I'd say, "Why are you attacking me?"
Yeah.
I wasn't being
Who
attacked,
was it?
but
Yeah.
I felt like I was being attacked. And there were things going on in my head where, that money, yes, it was given to me. It was my inheritance, but that comes into our home, right?
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
money could have been used to fund a whole year's worth of college for one of our kids. That could have been used to remodel my bathroom. That could have been used to do a lot of things, right? Yet I decided, like Andy and I decided together that yes, this can be a venture that you can go and use this money for it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was also some ownership there. Like, I've got to make this work. And he, for months, has been saying, why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This needs to end. And I just couldn't give it up. I mean,
Was he sensitive about it? Because again, he's the, whatever the other opposite of you relative to the business
mhm,
mindset. So, but he's probably being like, oh gosh, this is grandma's money, passionate business you want to help people. I mean, all the right ingredients to
mhm.
what you would think would be a successful business. So it's really a sensitive, he's not a business partner. He's also your husband. Again, married, right? You got to live together outside.
Sure.
And so was he for it from the very beginning, or did he have tentative because it wasn't his passion? He
That's
was
a good
supporting
question.
you.
I do know that some of the things that we would also argue about is because I wanted him to maybe be more passionate than he was. And so when he didn't show up in the way that I expected, then I would be disappointed. But that was wholly on me, if that makes sense. He didn't come to me and say, let's take this money and do this together. I said, I will do this. Can you support me? And listen, there were some times through counseling where we would be arguing about the business because I had been asking him for several months to make a change on the website. But he wasn't bought in, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, and he wasn't seeing the dollars either. Whereas that could have motivated, I'm sure it would have been very motivating, but when you're just pouring money into it, he's like, what's going on here, right?
Since we talked about the entrepreneurial spirit, doing other things that you're really passionate about. So I call it opportunity cost. So again, it's ego, it's, failure, embarrassment, those kinds of things. And that's hard to do. We deal with a lot of that with clients. It's like they struggle they've inherited a business, you happen to inherit money and invest in a business. So it's usually those family run businesses. And it's like, I've got to make it work. It's been in the family. We've dealt with other couples, also partners that they needed help to see their blind spots. They needed some outside perspective to just kind of ask them the right questions and let them figure it out, which I think is what kind of happened last night with you. So when Kelly came this weekend for a fun weekend, it's holiday weekend, and it's, again, we always manage to talk about business and how you're doing and get each other's perspective. Right? It is. And we so respect each other's ways and insights. And again, blind spots as friends. But you did walk in saying, James, I'm going to need your help. And I, as the friend, I'm going to support her, whatever she wants, love you, brush your hair, feed you Prosecco. But you knew James would come in and give you, gently, of course, with a lovely Scottish accent, his
but the hard truth sometimes
things
that
you need to
just
hear. So share a little bit about like how that was helpful for you, because you think you kind of knew what you needed to do.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's not even telling someone what they have to do. I knew, but it's the firm but loving kick in the pants maybe that you need from somebody that you respect in business. Because it's not that my husband wasn't saying some of those same things to me, but that's not who I needed to hear it from, if that makes sense. And so I said to James, hey, let's broach this. And that was day one when I got here. So last night, it's 3 days later, we haven't broached it yet. And he looked over at me and said, hey, let's go ahead and get this over with. Not that I was avoiding it, but I probably would not have brought it back up. I'd say, oh, we'll just talk about it the next time I come up here. You know what I mean? And so I think that when we're talking about in a broader sense, I mean, you guys are coaches, right? People pay you money to get your expertise. Now, you can't guarantee that they're going to follow the advice, right? I mean, that's, what's the whole take them to water, but you can't make them drink type of thing. But as soon as we got into it, I immediately started crying. It was very emotional. And yes, I know you guys love me and you support me, but
it's okay.
I still had to say out loud. I did not succeed to the level that I wanted to. And that sucks. Especially because that's not the norm for me.
Of course.
Right? Which makes it even harder, right? And for you to say, hey, it's okay. You helped all these people. And it was also good for James and for Andy. So we got Andy on speakerphone to say, we don't have to throw it in the fire and burn it forever, because the business that we have a license, and the license doesn't expire. So, but let's quit pouring money into the using of the license right now until we can maybe figure out a better model. Right. But let's pause. Let's stop the bleeding, so to speak, Well,
it was, I think,
because this is slow death. I mean, I can tell you.
To me, when I was watching the conversation was, James is really good at being able to separate the business side and the emotional
Mm-hmm.
side, right? Which is just generally hard. It's hard for me. You know, it's
Sure.
hard for anyone, but particularly in business. So what made you what did you need to hear? Because you
Mm.
never said, oh, you're losing money. It was never a black and white kind of
You're
decision.
right.
And then, yes, he definitely took you to water, right?
Yes.
But he tried to separate the business and the emotional side. And then your mind, it's almost like you started to get relief. There was this
Yes. I had to
openness,
get over the crying part.
of course, which
You have to
sometimes you
get it
just have
out,
to get it
right? You have
out.
to get it out. And I think that's probably the first time that I have cried about it,
Okay.
because it is emotional and it's like, shit, this is not fun. But okay. And then we started talking about, well, what are the next steps? What are we
Right.
doing next? And James and you both were able to guide me into some next steps. Like, okay, let's have this conversation. Let's have this next thing. And I will tell you something just sitting here, because I do still for this business do some networking and I'm a part of some small business networks, is that when people do come up to you and say, hey, well, I have somebody that has a need for this business, for me to say, oh yeah, I don't do that anymore. Like that's still going to sting. I can feel it right now. I don't want to have to tell people that, well, I closed that thing, because it's all in my head. Like, oh my God, now they know I'm a failure. Blah, blah, blah. They're not thinking that at all. They're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And they just move right on.
Right. Right.
But it's this internal battle. And I'm sure every day it gets easier. I mean, we've been talking about some stuff that you're
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
just can't get over it. And I said to you, you can.
Right.
And just deciding that you're going to is part of that, right? And then you take the steps to distance yourself from the anxiety or the shame or the whatever every day once you've made the decision. But until you make the decision,
It's what I said to you. The power of
gosh, you got to rip
decision
that Band-Aid off.
is
I mean,
so powerful. And it is. Once you make that decision, no matter what it is,
uh-huh,
there's that relief.
uh-huh.
But sometimes and we talked about this, it just takes people different time. It
Yeah.
takes them different steps. But there is a point at which, okay, and I think your point, you guys are into a couple of years. And again, it's not to the point of failure that you have to, whatever, sell your house or.
And I think that honestly made it harder, Angela,
Yeah.
because had I been in a position where that was what fed my family 100%, like, yes, I'm going to lose my house, I would have cut bait way sooner, or I would have been in way more of a hurry to make changes faster. But because, like you said, it was sort of an outlier,
Right. Absolutely.
I just started to treat it as a hobby. And the worse that it did financially, the less I wanted to look at it. And then I just wanted to ignore it. And
absolutely, don't put your head in the sand.
exactly.
We see that all the
Yet
time.
my husband was like
to me.
writing a check every month for different things, even as something as little as renewing the domain.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
For
yeah.
the website and I will tell you this, we just had to write a check for insurance coverage about 2 months ago. And he said, he didn't say, I don't want to write this check, but he said, I'm not writing this check again next year without us really having a conversation. So let's figure this out. And again, not what I wanted to hear, but that was sort of like a line in the sand.
You needed to hear
moment that, yeah. And so being here, even just saying out loud to James, hey, we got to have this conversation. Can you help me work through this thing?
You are, you're braver than you give yourself credit for. Sure. Most people are. I would, thank you for, obviously trusting just we're friends, we could, but it's still a hard conversation because there are things I told you. I was like, wow, I never knew that about that business, And oh, by the way, I never thought you weren't a risk taker, that you ever cared about failing. So I saw even a different side of you 16 years later.
Yeah.
But I guess what would you say to somebody like, for James and I, like there was many times our business wasn't going in the right direction and it was our only source of income. And, I always say we own business, but we don't take paid time off. We don't have that.
Right.
So we're to build have built the business in such that we are getting recurring revenue. But there was tough times during COVID. We lost clients, we're taking out some, the SBA did some necessary or good things for small businesses. We leveraged that, but now we're in a better place. But I guess at what point?
Yeah, but I think that you guys, even as coaches, you have a coach. right?
100%.
And so seeing the value of someone that takes their own advice, if that makes sense. Um, so, it's sort of like I'm not going to hire a health coach that's 300 pounds overweight and sitting there smoking cigarettes. Of course not. You need to feel like that whoever you're going to for that's your trusted advisor is in alignment with their own business, right? And so not that you guys have never had ups and downs in your business, but you're constantly trying to get a perspective from someone who is successful, who you do trust, who you do value their opinion. And I feel that way about you guys in business and would hire you in 2 seconds to help me get through something, right? Or to move to the next level or to pivot or whatever that looks like, because I've watched you do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
well, that's all we're trying to do is we see this in clients, and it's a struggle for us when we want it more than they do sometimes, but you have to have the honest conversation and perspective. And we had that, but you're right. We've always had a coach we started with a coaching franchise and we had a coach and then all the way on, but we've had different support depending upon what we were needing at that time. And just during COVID, it was more, different level, different type of sort. It was business coaching, but also kind of the mindset stuff, which was extremely helpful and powerful, helped us develop a stronger foundation in our business. But the mindset stuff was amazing. And I would say that decision making, and that's me, I just like overthink everything. And I've gotten better, and I'm all about trying to make more decisions, fail fast, fail hard, whatever the statement is, but make a decision and then go with it. And I'm much better about, okay, now I can move on. Yeah. So I'm trying to get this other issue I'm dealing with out of my head because it is what it's doing, unfortunately, physically, right? So, wake up in the middle of the night, it's in my head, and now I'm up for the next hour. It's like, you kidding me with this? Like, I am smarter than this. I'm better than this. I'm all those things that you can say to yourself, but you have to go through it. And it's just my process. So anyway, we could have helped you, and you've helped me, like just being here this weekend and tremendously helping me think through it has been, again,
I know it's not just business. That's right. And we have to know that there is emotion in our business. And sometimes, like staring at the hard truth, making the hard decisions, having the hard conversations are just what you have to do. And thankfully, you guys were able to help me work through that. As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, all right, I already know the steps that need to be taken, but I know that I'm going to need to put some time behind that as far as, well, what's the deadline that I'm going to have that conversation? Because it's not going to be fun. It's like, I'm probably going to cry more. You know what I mean? And that's okay too.
We're just a phone call away, but James will be checking on you too. Is like, Cammy, have you reached out?
Well, I appreciate this weekend. And if you guys are looking for a coach, these are the guys, because they know what they're talking about. And you guys are a good blend of, like, what do they say? A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. And
I think most people get that. I hope that they do.
Oh, well, if you don't, then
the husbands,
you might need some coaching and some other things, but some pop culture. But, we always say that we're like the country mouse, city mouse, right?
Yeah. Seriously, New Yorker and my Carolina girl here. That's right. But we are, exactly. It's the perspective. But Kelly, first of all, I just appreciate, I always love seeing you.
Thank you. This was so
glad
great.
We just did this for fun and also benefit, because it's a really important topic and it's happening to everybody. So don't beat yourself up, but accept the fact that you've done it. You've made a decision. You've made a life choice that got you to the next, it's not a failure. It's a lesson.
The experience, all of it. Well, and you're probably watching this episode, and even if you're not willing to admit it in yourself, maybe that you're experiencing, you're probably thinking of somebody. Go ahead and send it to them, but take the advice yourself, right?
And be like, it's okay. Meet up with a friend. You're right. Get a coach or what have you, but talk
have
it through. Have a cry.
Yeah, it's whatever you need. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
Yes, thank you so much.
I look forward to our next one. We'll figure something out soon. And we'll have you back.
Hopefully less tears, more Prosecco.
There you go. Always more Prosecco. Well, we so appreciate you guys being here. Again, thank you and welcome. And like Kelly said, if you know somebody who can benefit from this conversation or any other discussion topics, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.